My name is Ivan and this is my home. It is a Scandinavian-inspired off-grid tiny house that I designed and built myself, and I've been living in it for the last 3 years. The main idea of this place was to kind of have it all, in the sense that off-grid living and tiny living are often associated with some kind of a compromise on your comfort, and I didn't want that compromise. What I wanted was to live a normal life like I would do in a regular city apartment, with the perks of an off-grid house, like obviously not paying rent, not paying mortgage, being self-sufficient, not having utility bills, being solar powered and so on. And most importantly, what I wanted was to have my own space where I wouldn't be bothering anyone or be bothered by anyone either. So in the sense, I kinda built myself an off-grid studio apartment. The house is close to Sofia, the capital of Bulgaria, which is my main country of residence, though I'm Russian by origin, but I reside here. And the area was chosen basically by the same principle of combining the proximity to the city with its infrastructure. It's like a 20 minutes drive from here, and having all this behind my windows. I'm a frequent traveler, but when I'm in the country, this is my main home base. It is a 4 by 10 meters, so 40 square meters, or about 420 square feet house standing on concrete pillars. I chose this kind of foundation for two main reasons. First, the land was agricultural with a lot of limitations to it, so I wasn't legally allowed to build anything conventional there. Also, this house is legally registered as a movable structure for land maintenance with living space in it. So obviously, having it on pillars also helps to comply with the law. One of the main features I wanted to have in this house was plenty of natural light, so almost the entire front wall is panoramic windows. These are triple pane tempered glass packs that are good for both safety and security, since they're pretty difficult to break. I also have two opening windows, one in the kitchen area and another one next to my bed. I didn't want any room separation since I'm a single guy and my only family for now is this old lady here. So I built the whole place as an open space with only the bathroom separated. I wanted the place to feel as airy as possible, so I made all the furniture white and designed it the way that my clothes are hidden away in a built-in wardrobe in my bed. My working desk also has some storage underneath. My coats and my shoes, along with the electrical installation, are tucked away in the cabinet by the entrance. And one of the important features I wanted to have was a well-equipped kitchen, because I love cooking, both for myself and for the people I care about. I could even say that cooking for me is a kind of meditation even. I usually put on some music and I start cooking, so I definitely wanted to have a full-size oven here. I prefer to cook on propane, though my solar setup allows me to use induction. I use 27-liter bottles, and so it's roughly 1 bottle per year or 20 bucks per year. I've also installed a dishwasher here to keep my water consumption efficient. In the bathroom I have a flushing toilet with a hygienic shower to it. I also have a urinal toilet, and I literally have no idea why more men around the world do not install those in their homes, because it is a great feature both for water consumption and for convenience. I also have a walk-in shower and a beautiful natural stone sink that I actually made myself, literally from a piece of rock, and I think it turned out really beautiful. And the sliding door at the entrance of the bathroom is also DIY. I made it myself and designed it the way so it matches the style of the house. So for this solar installation, I got 32 cells of lithium ferrum phosphate batteries that in total gives me about 30 kilowatt hours of energy. The batteries are charged with the panels by Canadian Solar, 660 watts each. And to improve the efficiency of my solar installation, all the appliances I installed here, like the fridge, the dishwasher and so on, are A++ consumers. Bulgaria is a very sunny country, so for most part of the year my batteries almost never go below 75, maybe 80%. But I did experience some shortage of energy during some winter weeks before though. Probably 5 or 6 times per winter I had to use my gasoline generator to tap the batteries back up. The water here in this area lies pretty deep and my water consumption is not that big, so I did not want to invest in a well here. Instead, I initially built a rainwater collection system. I connected the gutters to an underground tank through a filter, of course. Then I've built another filtering system for inside the house, but still, it turned out not to be enough. It started showing with time. It was showing on my toilet, on my dishwasher, on the tank itself. And when my bathroom walls started slightly turning green, I was like, no. This is not gonna work. I need to do something about it. Happily for me, my neighbor is a great guy. So I have built a water line from his well to my house, rebuilt the filtering system, and finally I have an unlimited supply of fresh water here that is good for cooking, that does not smell, does not leave stains, that does not paint my bathroom walls green. And don't get me wrong here, I know a lot of guys use rainwater and it's a great viable solution, especially if you don't have any other options. Just keep in mind, rainwater has to be thoroughly filtered before any kind of use that is other than, I don't know, maybe watering your plants. For the grey water, I buried a triple layer PVC recycling tank with 3 chambers in it. The first one being aerobic, with the bacteria dissolving the solids in it. The second one is anaerobic. And in the third chamber, the water is what is called technical. That means it cannot be reused, of course, but it can safely go into the ground without damaging the environment. The tank doesn't need to be regularly cleaned. It only needs the bacteria to be added more or less once a month. So I've got 15 centimeters of rock wool insulation in the walls. I've got 20 both in the floors and the ceilings. I've got heated floors here. I've got an extra layer of XPS, 5 centimeters thick in the floors, which for Bulgaria might be an overkill, but at the same time it gives me a pretty safe margin for both heating the place and cooling it. So basically when it's sunny, I'm almost always just using the AC for both heating and cooling the place. And for the worst foggy, dark, gloomy winter days, I've got myself a small propane heater that works with the same kind of bottles that I use for the kitchen. And finally, among the smaller features that still bring a lot to the everyday comfort here are such things as the smart lock on the entrance door, the indoor and outdoor security cameras, the smart home system that controls the ventilation, for example, or the lights. I also installed wireless light switches here. I know that the main question with projects like this is always, how much did it cost? And luckily I can be very particular, sometimes even borderline obsessive. So I kept track of all the expenses in a spreadsheet and I got all the numbers. So the house itself, basically the fully finished white box with the floors, the windows and the bathroom fixtures installed, came out around 24,000 euros, without my labor included obviously, since for me it's free. The land here was not overly expensive as well, since it's agricultural, and I initially got myself a pretty small piece of land, only 4,300 square feet. So that's another 14,000 euros. The solar installation was surprisingly not that expensive, but I guess that makes sense, since I've basically got all the individual components and assembled it myself. So the price of it was around 6,000 euros. And the total, with all the furniture, all the appliances, all the smart home systems, pretty much everything you've seen in this video, came out slightly over 50,000 euros. That was 3 years ago, so now all the materials are obviously a bit more expensive, but I guess you can still use that as a pretty solid benchmark for the overall cost. This is not the first and not the only house that I've built during the last several years. My tiny house journey started back in 2020. I was making a lot of music back then, some of it for work, some of it just for fun. And playing the instruments like the guitar and especially the drums was not the most convenient thing to do in a rental apartment. So what I did was I bought a very small piece of land with the idea of maybe building something there just to place my drums and film some videos. I knew absolutely nothing about construction back then, like absolute zero. So I started researching. I learned about timber framing, about modular homes, about solar energy, about mobile homes and so on. So I built myself a tiny house and I've spent a year and a half in that house. Then I sold it, started building this one, and around the same time one of my neighbors hired me as a contractor to build him a similar one but bigger. So technically I was building this house and my neighbor's house simultaneously. Unfortunately, I did not avoid physical injury during this build. I got a lower back hernia, and the stupidest thing is that it wasn't even caused by the heavy lifting. I was doing completely fine lifting the walls. It was the bad posture. I was working on the facade of the house, planing the wood for it, and I was reckless enough to not take the time and just build something like a workbench so I could work upright. The impact this injury had on my body was actually smaller than it had on my mental health. It was the first time in my life when I literally felt that my body can break, it can fail, and my everyday life can change completely in an instant. So I can say that I finally recovered from that injury. But to everyone out there doing physical work, please stay safe. Take care of your body, because it's literally a vessel that carries you through life. While this lifestyle definitely has a lot of really beautiful things to it, and I genuinely enjoy it a lot, it is not always sunshine and roses, of course. There are some challenges and struggles that come with it as well. And for me personally, probably the biggest one of them has always been the fact that there is a difference between solitude and loneliness. And it took me some time to learn the difference, because in the beginning I was probably too excited about this new life of mine that I got together with the house, living in the mountains on my own, being completely independent, yada yada. So eventually I did cross the line a little bit, and in the end I realized that there is nothing that can replace the real offline human connection. If you ask me, being able to build your own house yourself is, without exaggeration, a complete paradigm shift. At least for me, it was for sure. Because I remember myself 10, 15, even 20 years ago thinking that I would love to have a house, but I have literally no idea how to get there. I did not come from a wealthy family. I did not inherit money or property. So owning a house without a lifetime mortgage or a huge pile of money from somewhere kind of felt like a miracle, honestly. And now, with all the knowledge that I got from building those houses, it is actually not a miracle anymore. So this knowledge is so powerful, and I want to share it so much. So actually, one of the projects I've been working on recently is a free step-by-step YouTube video guide for everyone who wants to build their first tiny house themselves. So right now, actually, the future of this guide kind of depends on you guys, because I'm on standby, I'm ready to build, but I'm still not quite sure if there is enough people interested in that, if the people actually need that. So I'll be very grateful to everyone for maybe giving me some feedback, maybe leaving some questions, requests, opinions or comments on my channel, pre-saving the guide, and let's just make it happen. It's gonna be useful for sure, and it's gonna be fun.
Subscribe to Exploring Alternatives, and please share this video if you liked it. You can also check out Ivan's YouTube channel to follow his journey and find out more about his tiny house building guide. Thanks for watching.